I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Where are our prophets now? Where are those messages God chooses to communicate divine revelation through? In the past, the Creator has sent prophets like Abraham, Siddhartha, Jesus, Muhammad, and many more. Maybe our higher power has switched tactics since we reinterpret God's words as soon as the Creator's prophets leave us. Could it be that Spirit talks to each one of us individually and we haven't learned to listen? On Words of the Prophets, our modern prophets show us how to find the internal prophet that is the I Am, and we discuss the application of spiritual principles in all aspects of our lives. Love and light, everybody. I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Today I have a panel of people with me. To my immediate right is Melissa Apple. Welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Phil.
To her right is Devin Green. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you. And finally, to the far right is Dwight Nibelink. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
And what these three people have in common are they are all students of Her Holiness Sai Maa Lakshmi Devi, or Devi. Devi or Devi?
Lakshmi Devi.
Devi. Okay, it's pronounced as an A. And today's prophetic topic is Be the Embodiment of Love. This topic is the opening sentence of the opening statement that can be found on page 1 of Sai Maa's book titled Petals of Grace, Essential Teachings of Self-Mastery, which was published in 2005. The opening statement reads as follows: Be the embodiment of love. Allow yourself to be transformed by love. Let the music of love melt your heart. Let divinity fill your heart with love. And along the way, we're going to define love and we're going to define light, because they're both essential. And those of you who've been around for a while with me know that's how I always open up, love and light. And that's usually how I try to close, because they are essential. But before we even get that far, I want to hear a little bit of background stories from each of you. You want to start, Melissa?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. With great, great gratitude and great blessings, my heart is so full to be here with you, Reverend Phil, and with your audience. My story started as in a family where we were raised as Christians, and yet we did not have much practice other than you do unto others as you do unto you, as others do unto you. So love was always a part of our home and my home. And it became very clear when I left home that it was time for me to really explore what does it mean to be a Christian, or what does it mean to be a spiritual being, or what is religion? And I discovered that it's all many, many rivers running to one ocean. And this is how I have come to learning about Her Holiness Sai Maa through her teacher, Sai Baba, who has passed and transitioned just in the last year. Mm-hmm. And Sai Baba sent me a dream of Ma, and I had a dream where Ma just poured light through her eyes, pouring love in this dream, and it opened my heart. And I was invited to go and meet her in just a matter of a couple weeks after I had the dream.
So, are you saying you actually met Sai Baba?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he sent me a dream, though.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you find here that you didn't find elsewhere?
What did I find here?
Sounds like you've done a lot of exploring.
I have.
You're obviously called, but you must have found something else besides just the calling that attracted you and keeps you.
Essentially, bottom line, love.
Okay.
Love is what is I'm here for. I'm here for sharing what is in my heart. What is in my heart is no different than is what is in your heart.
Before we even go down to everybody else's story, let's define love. I mean, Latin has 12 or 13 different words for different types of love.
It's all one.
Interesting concept. How would you define love? And you can all jump on in. How would you define love?
For me, what love is a state of being. It it is complete openness, complete appreciation. It can't really be described because it's beyond words, but it's who we really are. And love is infinite, and it's something as a person I have a relationship with, and it opens me up and it unfolds me and it dissolves all the blocks I have to experiencing it. And I've had glimpses of just how vast and how powerful and how beautiful and meaningful it really is, but it's kind of beyond description, I believe.
So let me throw this concept out in terms of, are we more talking about a concept of unconditional love as opposed to love? Unconditional love being something higher and greater.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about an unconditional love right now,
okay,
as opposed to a special kind of love, like.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you're saying is that we are all a manifestation of that love, if I hear you correctly.
I'm saying that that is our true nature.
Okay.
And it's oneness. And we have ideas of ourselves that are contrary to that, but the truth still remains. That's what we are.
Okay. Because because love is a term that's, thrown around, and that's why I wanted to try to clarify it. And I think we've got a little bit of clarity to it. So we've got it on the high end, not the traditional concept of love, or any of the 12 or 13 different definitions of love that Latin has. So you were talking. You want to tell us a little bit of your story?
My name is Devin Green, and I'm sort of a Renaissance man of modern technology and ancient mysticism, and I grew up without religion in my life, but learning love and principles of nonviolence and compassion from my parents. But I had a knowing of spirit and of myself as spirit, and but I didn't know how to get there, how to live a life where that's what my life was about. And and I had some problems. I was pretty isolated until I met some healers, and it really changed my life. And I loved healing so much. That's what I wanted to be able to share, and I wanted to continue to transform myself, continue to open myself. And so I started studying healers here in Santa Fe and around the country, world-class healers. And so I had been doing a lot of work, and I was already very aware when I first started hearing about Sai Maa, and I heard about her through the healers I was connected to, because they would go to her. And so I was really interested to check it out. And I went to one of her programs, not really knowing what to expect, and I felt her working with me before she even came in the room. Her presence was with me, and it was like my inner process accelerated so fast. I got so much done just before she even came in the room. And then when she got there, it just totally blew me away, and I knew it was the most powerful thing I'd ever felt, and this is the most powerful work going on the planet at this time.
How long have you been involved?
Just a few years.
Okay. You, Melissa, how long has it been for you?
I met Ma in 2006.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was about the time that they came to town with that teaching.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Were you connected before the teaching or after the teaching?
Just before.
Okay. Yeah. Dwight.
Okay, well, I'm Dwight Nibblink, and I grew up actually in the Episcopal Church. My parents were very involved with that, and I was actually quite involved with the church. I was an acolyte and choir, to all the things that one does of the church. Was baptized. Quite early, I had a real feeling and connection with the Spirit. And actually, at one time, I even thought about going into the ministry. and have always been connected with spirit, not necessarily always with a particular religion or teaching. I've been always interested in various religions. Haven't studied too in depth with them, but have always been kind of on the margin of being familiar with various different religions. And then Melissa actually had mentioned Sai Maa to me, and we went to what is called a yagna, which is a fire ceremony up in Boulder, Colorado. And that's when I first met Ma, and was felt very connected with her. We were also going through a difficult time with my son, and we had been talking to Ma, especially Melissa had been talking to Ma, about helping him. And it was at that ceremony that I really felt that she was working with him and being able to help him through this very difficult time, and the family's time too. So after that, I started to go into different programs with her. And so it's been about 5 years or so, maybe a little longer, yes.
So 2 of the 3 of you used the term spirit. Is that the same as love, different from love? How do we want to define it?
I would say we're talking about the same thing here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to set this off for, for people watching, because so we can use these terms interchangeably, and they'll not, wait a minute, spirit, love, do we have a difference?
Yes, yes.
Right.
One of the things that Ma really does emphasize, particularly lately, is that we get often caught up in concepts. And it is very important to make distinctions between what you're speaking of and what you're not speaking of.
Yeah.
So we sometimes can get hung up on certain concepts, but understanding that love, spirit, all that is, this and our essence, all is one.
You learned he wanted to say something.
Well, she reminded me of something. I spent some time with Sai Maa in India at the Kumbh Mela, an enormous festival where millions of devotees come together.
That happens every 12 years.
It recurs in every 3 years in 4 different places. So every 12 years there will be a huge Maha Kumbh Mela, and this is where I was.
Oh, because I thought the next one's coming up in 13. That's why I asked.
The next one is in 2013, and actually you can go there and be with Sai Maa at the Kumbh Mela. But I was at the last one, and it was intense energy, and it was a beautiful place. And I got to spend every day with Sai Maa and absorb teachings and absorb the teachings of all the other saints who would come to our camp and who we would visit. But Sai Maa spoke of many lights from one sun. And on my last night there, I had this dream where I remembered where we came from, how we came from God. And that is who we are, and we have the same, our mind has the same infinite capacity as the God mind. But we have forgotten that. We've become narrowed in our individual identities. Our minds have become closed. But we knew as God mind that we would forget who we are, and so we made a way for us to remember ourselves again. Remember ourselves as God. And in the dream I remembered the thought, the mantra that carried that energy of reawakening. And it's we are one. Because that's what spirit is, that's what love is. It is a oneness that knows no difference.
That's interesting. I mean, a couple of questions, but I have a good buddy of mine back east who, that's not only his mantra, he's thinking about putting it up on billboards along the interstate and everything.
That would be great.
Wouldn't it? Let's talk about the Kumbh Mela. Want to explain what that is?
It's an ancient tradition. It's kind of like a huge celebration. There are 4 sacred sites in India, and
They're all in the Ganges.
every 3 years, millions of people come to these sites for a blessing, for their enlightenment, for their salvation, to worship God. And basically, there's chanting non-stop from every different direction, 24 hours a day, chanting, chanting, chanting. And all the chanting is the different names of God. And so you hear it constantly. Your whole being is vibrating with this chanting. Actually, another dream I had there was that everything was made of vibration. Everything was mantras. The body is a mantra because it's this sound, it's this vibration. And actually, if you look at terms of physics, that's what's going on. There's atoms spinning around at a high vibration, very, very high vibration. And people, this is very important to them. The river, the Ganges, is a sacred goddess. And that has a lot of meaning to them. And so they might walk all the way across India to be there. And gurus who live up in the hills, I met a man who is said to be 300 years old. And old men would say, my grandfather met this guy when he was a little boy. and they live in their caves, and they just come down for the Kumbh Mela. And everyone comes to the Kumbh Mela. And so the energy is just so concentrated. It's very intense and a great opportunity for opening up, for transformation. And it's very flavorful. We had fun dancing, meeting all the various gurus, chanting. And if anyone wants to go to 2013 with Sai Maa, you should go to humanityandunity.org and find out more information about that.
And generically, it's what? KUMBHA MELA, and you can just Google it. It's going to be in Islamabad, 2013, and you may have to let go of your idea of creature comforts when you go there.
But stay open.
Oh, definitely stay open. Just be prepared for it. It's pretty raw. Let's go right back into Her Holiness. Let's talk about her a little bit. Who is she? What is her story? As best as you could talk about it.
Her Holiness Sai Maa, would you like to speak on?
Well, Her Holiness Sai Maa was actually born on the island of Mauritius, which is in the Indian Ocean, several hundred miles to the east of Madagascar, and born into a family of Indian descent. Both of her mother and her father are from India. I'm not quite sure if they came from India and to Madagascar or if somehow they got there. Madagascar is Mauritius, excuse me. Mauritius is a very interesting island. It's roughly 100, 120 miles long, maybe 50, 60 miles wide, and has a population of about 70% Indian, also some African, and a mixture of other races that are there. Most people don't have heard of the dodo bird, and the dodo bird was the only animal that was really the dominant animal that was on the island. There was no indigenous populations before the Portuguese and the Dutch and some other people started to use it as a port to supply themselves. And what happened is that along the way, a lot of indentured people were brought to the island to work the sugar cane. And Ma's parents, I'm not sure how they arrived there, but they were, her father was a businessman, and Ma grew up there. Eventually left the island, went to France, and along the way she was married. She and she has 2 children. Both of them, I believe, are in their 30s now, and was very involved in politics in France. She was a psychotherapist. She, I think at one time, was even a hairdresser. She's had many different, shall we say, incarnations along the way of what she has done. And then one day, basically, was called to leave her life as she was living it and to go and to be with Sai Baba, who she had met when she was younger. And she essentially, she will say, I had 2 suitcases and I walked out the door and I went to be with Sai Baba. And Baba gave her an apartment to live, and she studied with Baba for a number of years until Baba said, it is now time for you to go out into the world. And specifically, I want you to go to the United States. And so she came here, and that's where she started her real work in the States. And of course, now she's a global. She has work that she does in Europe, in Ireland. She's going to be going to Japan in, I believe, May of this year. She's been all over the world. She was in Australia, South America. This last year, she does trainings in Belgium and in France. So and of course in the United States. So she's
and India.
And India, yes. She has an ashram. Actually, they're building an ashram right now in India for her and for people who want to come there. Yeah. So.
Yes.
Her name breaks down, has meanings for each of the names. Do you want to talk about that?
Go ahead.
A Divine Mother, basically. Ma in the Indian traditions is the mother, and she's the embodiment of the Divine Mother. And Lakshmi is a goddess who Sai Ma carries the qualities of Lakshmi, of abundance, generosity, beauty, grace. And so she's kind of like an embodied goddess on earth.
And this was a name bestowed upon her by Sai Baba.
It was indeed. And though she's had many titles bestowed on her from many traditions, actually.
Well,
Her Holiness, Her Divinity. She's isn't she officially a rabbi?
Yes, she is.
And she's been inducted into an indigenous tribe in New Zealand, and so she's very universal.
how long did she study with Sai Baba? Let's talk a little bit about Sai Baba. I mean, I think a lot of people have heard that name. I'm not sure they really know who Sai Baba was.
Sai Baba welcomed Ma as a young child with her parents. And then later on, as Dwight shared, that Baba welcomed Ma back and insisted that she stay. Please come, stay with me. He provided an apartment in Puttaparthi at the ashram. And Baba is though he is no longer embodied in the body itself, Baba still continues to pour his grace, pour his love. Baba is of the many lineages as well as Ma. Ma comes from Shiva, Baba also from Shiva. And Christ, very big influence for the lineage that Ma and Baba share. Also Babaji and Lord Maitreya, Vishnu. These are all great, and Mother. Mother is core. I mean, think about it. In your own family, was your mother core? Was she instrumental in just making sure that everyone started having just basic needs met? Huh? So Baba is also a very, very important part of reminding Ma what was her work here in the world. What did she come here for? And he educated her day and night.
How long did she study with him?
You know, I don't know for sure how many years it was that Ma continued studying Baba.
Okay. I know we want to do a demonstration. I think we're going to get to that in a couple of minutes. I just want to talk a little bit about that. Is the Diksha that you are going to demonstrate, is that something that was given to Ma by Sai Baba?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And many other saints within India, especially when she was bestowed the title of Jagat Guru, which means Master of the Universe. And this was at, 2 Kumbh Melas ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Couple of things I want to touch on. Maybe we could. It's not going to take you long to set up, will it?
No, this is very portable. You know, that's one of
Okay.
the things about Ma. She's very practical.
So maybe let's start the setup. And so Dwight, you're going to receive.
Yes.
Devin, you're going to transmit. You're going to commentate. And I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the show.
Drink it in.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
So do you want to get started? They'll move over. And while
You know, Saima Diksha was something that we have learned as students of Sai Ma. And it has been handed down as Diksha by masters from the beginning of time. Okay? So, Diksha, what does Diksha mean?
define it.
Diksha is an initiation of pouring of light into the brain, into the midbrain itself, to initiate these seeds of light that we already have.
Okay. So what's going to happen here on set?
Okay, so what Devin is going to be doing is he's going to be noticing how the person is sitting in their chair, Devin being the giver and Dwight being the receiver. And if the receiver's back is not straight or it's difficult to be able to reach, Devin will just gently ask them to come forward, and then he will step either between their feet or around their feet, whichever is comfortable.
Okay, and what happens? I mean, obviously, this doesn't happen unless both parties agree to it.
Actually, in person, it is most usually this way, yes.
Okay.
But we also offer Sai Maa Diksha at a distance as well as to ourselves.
Okay.
So we can speak on that at another point.
Okay, so now they both agreed to give and get, so
Yes.
to speak.
Yes.
What happens next?
Devin offers gratitude to this soul who's come before him, as well as to give gratitude to his own soul for receiving and having this opportunity to exchange Sai Maa Diksha.
So it's kind of like namaste.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it's saying thanks.
Okay.
We
And
say,
now Dwight has his hands open, kind of like a meditative. Is that required? Is that just his thing?
No, anyone, they can sit however they feel.
However you feel
yeah,
like it.
you can open your eyes, you can close your eyes, it doesn't matter. When you're
And-
receiving, when you're giving, You just offer with great reverence. You call forth Her Holiness Sai Maa.
Is that what Devin's doing
Right
now?
now,
Calling
he's
forth?
aligned. Yes, he's aligned with his I am, his highest self. And now he's calling forth Sai Maa and her sacred lineage, where the hands are basically on either side of the person's head. And then fingers, the thumbs come together, and the hands just hover above the head for just a few moments. And it's as if there is a force, an energy gently drawing the hands down to the head so that the hands are cradling the head. And simply allowing light to come through the crown of Devin's head, down into his heart, out through his arms and hands, and pouring light through these energy centers in the hands.
Minor chakras.
Exactly. Into the brain, into the central nervous system, all the way through the midbrain.
Is it accurate to say that what Devin is doing is really putting the energy, the light, into the crown chakra?
Devin is really simply allowing, and the light
Is transmitting through him.
Exactly. He's a conduit.
Okay, so as a conduit, though, is it directed towards the crown chakra, or is that
No, the light just goes where it needs to go.
where it goes?
It
It's
has
not-
its own intelligence.
So it can do whatever it needs to do. With each person, it can be different.
Correct. Although every single Diksha, Sai Maa Diksha, this has a direction to go to the midbrain.
Okay.
This is the intelligence of the light. It goes there. And
Okay.
it goes through the whole central nervous system. Goes through and fills even those individual cells of the body. And fills all the matter and the bones and the organs.
What is Dwight feeling at this point?
Dwight is feeling, some people will feel nothing. Some people will feel a sense of warmth. Some people will sense a quality of peace, a stillness. And some people, like I say, they'll hear their mind and then they'll go back, and then they'll hear their mind and they'll go back. But
So it's
having
like a
Sai Maa
meditation.
Diksha, Sai Maa Diksha, exactly. It is like a meditation, and in that it comes with a full intention to pour grace in every aspect of the being. Not only is Dwight receiving, but as Devin is offering, he's also receiving.
That was my next question. So as the conduit, some of that energy that flows through remains.
Correct. It doesn't go like there's a limited receptacle of energy here. This is unlimited.
I understand that. I guess the point I'm making is like when we conduct electricity, the best wiring has no resistance, and if it's no resistance, nothing gets left behind. But here it doesn't matter. It can get left behind. It does get left behind. The channel is absorbing as it's transmitting.
Yes, even if Devin was not having a very good day, he wasn't feeling very well, offering Sai Maa Diksha, you can still offer it and not have any influence on the quality. So what Devin has done, he's offered for 2 to 3 minutes, and then bringing the hands straight up and taking a step back, again bowing in Namaste.
So you talk about 2 to 3 minutes. Is that an internal clock? Is that just the normal length of the transmission? Can he do it less? Can he do it more? I mean, could he have stood there for another 10 minutes and done it?
My experience is that Sai Maa Diksha is best, the most efficient use of it is within about a 2 to 3 minute window. But Maa Diksha can be conveyed also just by looking at this picture, just by hearing Ma's words.
Okay.
And the time frame is not to get too hung up about. The person, as you come to become trained in Sai Maa Diksha, you learn about how long that amount of time is.
Well, the reason I ask is we live in a very dysfunctional society, and most people are addicts. And if you like something, you want more of it. So if I can get good in 2 to 3 minutes, do me 20 minutes.
Well, you can receive Sai Maa Diksha as many times as you like.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what, if anything, did you feel, Devin?
I feel a very clear energy come down through me and flow through me, and I just allow it to go into Dwight's brain and do what it does. But I also feel it go through my body, and it's a very pleasant sensation. It feels like being freed, being released, being pardoned, being forgiven. For me, right in this moment, this is what I'm experiencing. Like I am loved, and all the fear I had, there's no need for it, and so I'm kind of slowly letting that fear dissolve.
So when you're doing the transmitting, do you have a particular focus?
Sometimes I ask for, the divine grace to flow through me, and so I allow whatever comes into my mind to come up, and sometimes I'll have some kind of intuition or insight, or sometimes I'll just think thoughts that feel like holy thoughts to me, and I'll have appreciation for the person in front of me, and I often see them as a divine being while I'm giving Diksha. And so I often think we are one. You are the Holy Christ of God.
So there's some kind of internal mantra that you do, some kind of internal image you create, or it just varies?
There's no, set standard for.
Okay.
What feels right to me in the context of this pure light and experiencing that love and that holiness. Whatever comes naturally in that.
Okay. So, what did you feel, Dwight?
Quite often I feel peace, and it is like a meditation. My consciousness kind of releases, and I'm not concentrating on any particular thing.
So you don't have to seek out Devin, so to speak, or sense that connection.
I just really be there, and
okay.
Whatever should come, come through. I'm not trying to find anything, in particular.
Okay.
So really, the person is just, as a receiver, that's all you really are, is just a receiver, and whatever should come through for you is what comes through for you at that particular time. Some people will feel very warm. Some people will, they'll feel peaceful. Something will come up. They will go to a spot that they haven't been to for a while. They maybe say, I really felt God today when you were doing that, for me.
Do you sense a difference in terms of the energy flow when the hands are not on your head and then when they are on your head? Is it change for you?
No, I don't think so. When they're close, I start to feel the energy flow, but I wouldn't say that for myself personally, no. For some reason, I don't feel any big change in the energy flow when they're on me, yes.
One of the things that Ma also shares, if I may,
go for it,
is that
we weren't trying to exclude you.
We are not here to create expectation. We are here to simply be and have that experience of what it truly means to be who we are. So if we create expectation, every time that I receive Saima Diksha, it may be a little different.
Okay. Let's get back to the mechanics of the process. Not even mechanics, that's not the right word, but
steps.
Can anybody, at what point can somebody be a transmitter?
Anyone who would like to be a transmitter could come to an activation. We can certainly offer an activation here, right now, if you'd like. It doesn't take long.
So the person doesn't have to be present.
Yes, the person needs to be present to be trained. Yes.
To be trained,
Yeah.
but once the person has been through a training, they have received an activation that fully initiates this Saima Diksha within, teaches them a little bit about it, about the history, about where Diksha comes from, about the benefits, and then just the.
So let me interrupt you
Yes.
a second. Because, what would activation mean and require? Well, I mean, people are going to be watching
ceremony.
the show.
It's a simple ceremony.
Do they have to do anything? Do they have to allow themselves to be present? Do they have to pay attention? Do
Gratitude. Gratitude, having an open heart, and being open to Her Holiness Saima and her sacred lineage. That's that, and then their own masters, their own guides, their own angels.
So,
And then we offer gratitude, and that's
so we do an activation. How long is that going to take?
32 minutes.
We're
we
having a
can't do that.
training at
Okay, go
Unity
for it.
Church on February 2nd.
There you go.
We have Diksha trainings every month there. They're free. It's a Thursday evening. And, it could take an hour. And we give you an explanation of how to do it. And then there's the ceremony where you receive the activation. And all you have to want to learn and choose to come.
So we
And,
could do that here if we wanted to set aside about 30 minutes.
The activation itself we could do in 2 minutes, and then we can certainly share Saima Diksha.
We got 2 minutes? Okay. What do you need to do?
Well, we sometimes will stand, but we can do it sitting.
Okay.
I've seen this as well. And do you want to lead?
Sure.
Okay.
And so I'd like to turn everyone's attention to the image of Sai Ma,
Would you like us to flash it on the screen for you?
and we could play that image
Yeah.
for people to see Sai Ma.
Okay. I'm sure George is with us.
And
How's that for a subtle clue?
Thank
Okay.
you, George.
and if you would like to receive an initiation in Saima Diksha right now, just be in your heart, feel the connection to Ma, feel gratitude for this gift that you're being given and that you will be able to share. And when I received my Diksha initiation, I heard the Ascended Masters speak to me, and they said, "My heart is yours, my love is yours, my soul is yours, my mind is yours, my life is yours." So take a minute, receive that in your heart. You are pure love. Love is here to serve you. And you can give this love because it is yours to give. It is within you. And I thank you. That energy is being anchored in your system. So now, whenever you may choose, you may offer Diksha. just thank your partner, place your hands on their head, ask for Sai Ma and her sacred lineage to be with you and give a blessing and allow it to flow through you. And when you feel it is complete, thank your partner again.
Om Jai Jai Sai Ma.
Om
Jai Jai Sai Ma.
Hail, glory to the divine feminine within.
Thank you all. That was beautiful. So basically now whoever was watching on TV can do what Devin did 10 minutes ago.
Correct.
Yes.
Way cool.
Correct. We're very portable.
Enjoy.
You're going to make love contagious. I'm not sure if this world's ready for it. It needs it, but it may not be ready for it.
The shifts are taking place.
That is Sai Ma's mission.
Yes.
One of the things that Ma has really directed us, she said, this is the time for everyone to receive Diksha and to be able to give Diksha. And that's one of one of her missions is to have everyone on the planet be able to give and receive Diksha at any
Beautiful.
time.
As long as we started, we had this little segue. Why don't one or you make some of these announcements? And we announced the other thing at Unity, and there's a couple other announcements you wanted to make, and then I got a couple of announcements, then we'll come back and do a quick wrap.
Okay.
Okay. So
You're the
our
designated
big
speaker.
announcement, there's going to be an event in Denver coming up in April. And if we could play the slide of that. And this is going to be Sai Ma at the Denver Convention Center. And many people coming from around the country, around the world. And so it's going to be a big gathering, and it's going to be very powerful. I wouldn't miss it for anything. And I definitely recommend checking it out at sai-ma.com. And we also have some other announcements about our local offerings here in Santa Fe.
Yes. Yes. We offer Saima Diksha every Wednesday from 12 to 2 at the Treehouse Cafe and Bakery, which is on Lena Street here in Santa Fe. We also have the first Thursday of every month at Unity, we offer a Saima Diksha training. So everything that we just did here, we offer at Unity. That's from 6:30 to 7:30.
Okay. For those of you not familiar with Santa Fe, Lena Street is right off of 2nd Street. It's the street where the old, what's the guy's name? The bakery was Cloud Cliff. That's a street that runs behind his. It's all the way down in the back. It's on the right-hand side. You'll see some parking on the left and the restaurant's on the right.
Yes, yes.
And they're open Tuesday through Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
you're there on Wednesdays
we're
and
there.
Thursdays too.
We are
That's where I first met all of you.
Correct. We also have a meditation and potluck the second Sunday of every month, and that takes place at 118 Solano Drive.
You need somebody to contact?
Certainly to contact. You can.
There's a phone number on the slide
Okay.
for that, yeah.
So they can call you at that number.
Correct.
If you have not, for some reason, can't get the contact information, contact me. My contact information will be showing, and it rolls at the end of the credits. I'll be happy to provide anything you need. I'm going to make a few announcements. I'm going to come back and, with a little time we have left, and talk about a couple other things. First off, just to let you know, I know you hear this every week, but I got to put it out there every week. You're watching us on public access, which means it's all about you. You are the public. So you don't have to wait for me to run into you in a restaurant to say, oh, you want to do a show? Contact me if you think there's a show that you'd like to do with me. Or if there's a topic you'd like me to cover, but you don't feel like you're capable of doing it justice, contact me. I'd love to hear what you'd like to hear about, and I'll make it happen. Also, just to let you know, I am a spiritual counselor. I am both a minister and I'm a state licensed counselor, and I do what I call spiritual counseling. And that my basic tagline is, without a spiritual component, we do not heal. So it's good for any and all things that traditional counseling may be, except I think it works better because traditional counseling asks you to basically solve the problem with the same instrument that created it, which is your best thinking. So what we're here to do is show you how to tap into something more powerful and greater than your best thinking to help you resolve whatever problems are in your life. So if you think that sounds like something you might be interested in, contact me. I work strictly on a donation basis, so money is never an issue. Next week, and actually the next 2 weeks, we are going to do two shows looking at the books of the prophets from the Old Testament. Next week, we're going to look at them through the eyes of two rabbis, Rabbi Schwab and Rabbi Shear. And then the following week, we are going to look at them from the Christian perspective with Brother Brian and Father Murphy. So they're, I believe, are fascinating books, and I believe that a lot of our Western civilization wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for the books of the prophets. So tune in next week and the week after and see what you may find out. So we're back. We got a few minutes left, maybe 5. One of the things you were talking about, and I wanted to touch base on it, is that in the East, in the concept of religion, they don't seem to be as bound up with one particular practice or deity. That, you know, they honor across the board Jesus, they'll honor, you know, whoever, whatever. Want to share some thoughts about what that's all about and why? Don't all talk at once.
Well,
Go, Gavin.
it's very ancient in human history for people to worship different aspects as divine, and the relatively new idea that God is one is actually observed in India. It's called the Atma, the true self, and they consider it to have various aspects. And I don't really want to talk about the hang-ups of Western civilization, except the light is the light, and that's where we all come from, and it's where we're all going.
No, that's okay. I hear that, and I know. I mean, one of the shows, what I'm leading up to, and I just thought, when you were talking about it, you kind of touched on it. The prophet shows are leading up to something a little bit further down the road, which is basically a look at the difference between Eastern and Western theology, religions, and the life that those people live. And one of the things that I want to focus on is that in Western religion, basically the primary teaching is a combination of there's only one God, and only one God, and the concept of compassion, where the Eastern religions are teaching there's one God, but there's multiple manifestations of that God, and the major teaching is detachment. And that's why I was just asking if you wanted to comment on that lineage, because I see that all the time. You know, you read the Gospel to Sri Ramakrishna, you read the autobiography of a yogi. All of these people are constantly talking about the multiple facets of the divine, whether it falls within the Hindu tradition or Jesus or whoever, and they acknowledge them all, which I think is beautiful.
Well, the way I see it, liberation that they seek in the East is actually what Jesus taught. He taught forgiveness and love. And we have ideas of cruelty and hate and sin and punishment, and these ideas get in the way of our experiencing the true love of God, and what we want is liberation. And so forgiveness is what undoes the attachments. And when we aren't attached to anything, then that allows the truth to shine through as it is and know ourselves as spirits.
And if we're not attached, we don't have judgments, and therefore there's no need for forgiveness.
Forgiving in the sense that there was nothing ever
There
wrong
was no
in the first
Exactly,
place.
it happened
Yes.
exactly the way it's supposed
Exactly.
to. And the only thing that's getting in the way of that is my best thinking.
Correct.
I think we're rapidly running out of time. Melissa, Dwight, Devin, Dwight, I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
here. Thank you so much for this demonstration and the initiation, or activation, I guess is a better word. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Blessings to
Thank
you all.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great
I want to
pleasure.
thank you all.
JJ Sai Maa.
Thank you for watching. You know, I talk about love and light. You heard about it here. Open yourself up. You could feel it. That's what that activation was. You have the power to change your reality, to create the life that you want. We talk about without attachments, without judgments, and minimize the pain and eliminate the suffering. So it's up to you. Be happy to guide you. Keep tuning in. That's what we talk about. Contact these folks. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your willingness. So until next week, know that you are one with the divine. Demonstrate it. Let it be shown. Let the light shine. Blessings to you all. I'm Reverend Phil, and I've been your host for Words of the Prophets. Thank you for tuning in. Please join me again next week, same time, same channel, for more Words of the Prophets.